Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsall, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner with us today. Something unique about my guest is she does not allow the fear of failure to impact her behavior. In her downtime, she enjoys ballroom dancing. She's just started taking lessons, and she is most proud of turning her business around from losing money while also going through a divorce and now approaching $2 million and a team of 10. That is super exciting. We're going to learn more about that here shortly. It's my pleasure to welcome Colleen to the show. Hi, Colleen.
Hi, Tim. It's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I'm super excited to hear your story today. So let's start by having you introduce yourself. Tell us your full name and a bit of your personal story, like where you were born and live and about your family.
All right. So I'm Colleen Freeland, and I have a business it's called Emotional Sobriety Coaching. I live in Indiana. I have four children, and I've lived here most of my life. So I've got sisters and brothers and family, and just kind of love where I'm at. And you want to hear a little bit about my story, like how I became to do what I do?
Now we'll get into that here in a bit, but I would love to hear about ballroom dancing.
Well, as I have been working as entrepreneurs do, like 24/7 for years and years, this year I decided it was time to start getting a life back. I did go through a divorce, so I'm not dating. I don't go out much, and so it's been really easy to just work, 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 work.
Yes.
And I realized, that I had reached the point where I needed more.
Mm.
And so, what are you going to go do, right? And I've always loved to dance. And when I am on social media, I get in those rabbit holes of ballroom dance videos. And I saw this gal in the park one day. So I've been telling myself I would take ballroom dance lessons. Like if I was living my best life, that's what I'd be doing. But there's no studio around me. Like I'm not just going to go do that. And then I ran into this gal at the dog park, and within 5 minutes, she's showing me a video of she's 65 years old, wearing the tassels and getting spun around. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
I want to do that. I go, and I would do that. It's just there's no studio around here. She's like, there's one right up there on Covington. And so within five, I went home, I signed up immediately and just started. And it's
That's
kind of like,
awesome.
I didn't realize I had two left feet and no talent because I thought I could dance. But ballroom dancing, it's with partners. So it's like nothing I've ever done. And I really like things that I don't have any idea what I'm doing because I like that feeling of like wanting to give up, not being good at it. And so it was kind of a win-win in that it gave me something physical to do and move my body, but also challenge myself in a different way.
I love it. That's so cool. Um, what's a what's a funny story, Colleen, that your family likes to tell about you that you'd be willing to share today?
Okay, so like the one that my kids are always giggling about is that one time we lived in West Virginia at the time. I was married to my first husband. We have four kids, and a black bear was in our backyard.
Mm.
And he's like freaking out, as one would, get the kids inside. And I leave the kids and run inside to get the camera because I'm going to chase the bear and get a selfie. So if that tells you anything about me,
That's awesome. So did you get the selfie?
yeah, yeah, I got it. Well, it's not a selfie. I wasn't crazy, but
Uh,
yes, I did. I did chase the bear and get the bear to look at me and smile for the camera. Yes, I
Oh,
did.
that's fantastic. Wow.
Yes.
You'll
Mhm.
maybe just a little bit of that fear that I said you maybe you should have some of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everything is a double-edged sword. The reason, like I said, I don't let fear stop me is why I'm successful, but it could
Yes.
also be why I end up on a reality show getting eaten by a bear. I don't know.
So now tell us, how did the business come about, and at what point, Colleen, did you have the confidence that you could run your own business?
That came after running a business. And I would say I'm just now getting there. I
Mm.
started my business in 2021, and I had been a coach for years. But what they don't tell you with coaching, you got to read the fine print, is that you also have to be an entrepreneur unless you want to work, a hotline for 15 or $17. You're not going to get any money if you don't start the business. And so what I love is that I like to jump into the deep end of the pool without my water wings on and I don't read the fine print. And so it's kind of too late to back out, right? So I started the business and really struggled to get the clients. I mean, it's the same thing with anybody. You know, you got to be on social media. You're trying to get clients. I had very low confidence in my ability to ask for money based
Mm,
on my expertise. I was a mom for 25 years. I make bread, not money.
yeah.
And so learning how to price my services at the value that they were
Yeah.
was very intimidating to me. I worked a long time for free. And I have to say that in some ways, that's why I was able to be where I'm at, because I took whoever would work for me. I did it for free. I did it for very low cost. And I was able to iterate what worked and what didn't work. So I learned a lot. But then I got to the point where I was going through the divorce and I was losing $20,000 a month. I was married to a neurosurgeon, so I could afford to do that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was like, what are you going to do? And I had to choose between closing down my expensive hobby or making it work.
Uh-huh.
And I remember my ex-husband asking me, like, what's your plan B? And I was like, there is no plan B. I'm going to sink or swim here.
Yeah. Good for you. So tell us more about the company. What's the name? What do you guys do? How do you help people?
So it's called Emotional Sobriety Coaching. And what brought me, I was a coach before. Before is for me, before I dealt with my drinking problem.
Mm.
I had been a daily drinker for almost 2 decades, and it wasn't inhibiting my life. I taught hot power yoga early in the morning. I didn't drive my kids drunk. I just finished my day with a bottle of wine every night. And of course, you can do that for so long until, you know, I couldn't keep up with myself.
Mm.
So prior to my before, I was a coach and I did a lot of gut health and nutrition and
Okay.
all of that stuff. And then when COVID happened, about 6 weeks in, my daily drinking, all of the guardrails that kept me controlled went away. I didn't have to drive. I didn't have to teach. I didn't have clients. I didn't have nothing. And
Sure.
so happy hour started early and earlier. My window of productivity was just shrinking. And I woke up 6 weeks into COVID and said, the only thing worse than the idea of quitting drinking is the idea of not quitting, like
Yeah.
make it stop.
Mm.
And so I went into the sobriety culture. I joined AA, I was going to online meetings. And what I found was that was very helpful in the beginning, but you know, there's a very specific belief set that you would have to have. I'm an alcoholic. I will never drink again. And as my mind and body cleared out, I just realized there was a lot of limitations with that language. Not for everybody. It works for about 10% of people, but for women who don't see themselves as powerful, giving up your power, that language matters. How we describe who we are and why we are the way we are is it creates our reality.
Yeah.
And so a couple of years go by and I realize I get into the neuroscience, I get into the mental health and the beliefs and the frameworks. And my healing journey, I just realized I needed something different. Meanwhile, I had started this company and I was a sober coach. I helped people quit drinking.
Okay.
But we know from the tenets of coaching that the client sets the agenda.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not working with people who should be in rehab, right? And so as I was working with women, one of two things would happen. Either they stayed sober for my little 12-week program and then went back out, and 6 months or a year later, their old habits returned,
Mm.
or they weren't staying sober, but we couldn't talk about it because they weren't supposed to be drinking. And so I
Right.
just realized there's a big flaw in this. You know, the whole paradigm is upside down. And so I moved into supporting my clients on their journey and what they wanted, and was like, oh, I hope this works. But it did. I was watching my clients make so much progress, and we were actually getting to the root cause of why they were drinking, which
Mm.
is why my tagline now is get happy, not sober.
Yeah.
Happy people don't drink themselves into a stupor every night. And
Right.
so it was just kind of an iterative process coupled with research and science and my own experience. And now hundreds and hundreds of women, I have created a solution that works for women who are drinking more than they should and would like to cut back.
Fantastic. Wow. I love the path that you took to get here and how you've sort of carved out your own differentiator or niche in terms of your offering to the marketplace. So, Colleen, successful businesses can get stuck at various stages of their growth journey. So tell us about your biggest challenge and how you worked through it.
I would say my biggest challenge has been creating the systems and processes. When I first, let's go hit, on my way to my first million, I was doing everything.
Yeah.
Client services and curriculum and deliverables
Yeah.
and maintaining the day-to-day things. Like I did it all. And so then having to bring people in and standardize
Yeah.
the experience for people. I only a year and a half ago got an onboarding process, which completely changed my business.
Yes.
The way I was doing it, some women came in and were able to navigate great. I hand them a 300-page workbook and 1,000 hours of content. They're like, "Where do I start?" And I'm like, "Wherever you want to start." Well, that's not really great business, so I've had to hire teams and
Yeah.
create a customer journey and also identify the pitfalls. Like now I know what's going to happen. They might drink more when they first get started because they're supposed to not be shaming themselves, and
Yes.
okay, I'll just keep drinking. So coming up with these processes and replicating the results that I can get personally as a coach into processes that I can remove myself from so that, they don't need me. That has been fun, really fun, and also mind
Yes.
blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the stat is something like only 9% of businesses ever make it to a million and less than 1% ever make it to five. And the reason is what you were just talking about is getting
Yeah.
to a million. It's hard, but it's all usually all on the owner, right? So they're doing everything themselves. They're figuring stuff out. They're getting stuff to work, and finally, right, things start working. But it's all on them. So they become the bottleneck, and that's why they can't, that they can't get beyond the million-ish because the business can't grow beyond their capacity. So the things you were just talking through about systems and teams become super important if businesses want to scale and if the owner wants to have a life, right?
Yeah, and I for a while didn't need one,
Sure.
and now it's not even that of course I want one. It's just more of it's not sustainable and it has to be replicable. I'm very scientific minded, and if I can't remove myself from the process, then if I can't explain how it is, if I can't train somebody to do what I do, then what am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the reality is that, things happen. God forbid if, we were in the hospital and couldn't show up to work for 3 months, we should be building a business that can still pay us when that's happening, because otherwise we've just bought ourselves a job, and that's fun for a little bit, but it's to your point, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had reached that point also where this is why I get up in the morning. This is my passion. I love what I do. But I was hitting that point of overwhelm and burnout, and it wasn't that I was consciously thinking, "Oh, I don't want to do this,"
Yeah.
but I would sit down to create a piece of content. I've got exactly 37
Yeah.
seconds to do 15 things, and I couldn't get it out of my head. I was running out of creative juice, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, that was very necessary to learn how to let other people do it. And now it's so fun watching what I believe and what I teach take a life of its own, not
Yeah.
only in my team, but in the community, and watching them coach each other. Like it is so fun to see the manifestation of my work come to fruition, and knowing if I get sick, I just
Yeah.
pass the call to somebody else.
Perfect. Colleen, we know that success doesn't happen in isolation. So you've mentioned a couple of your team members. What I'd like you to do, if you're willing, is pick three people in your business owner journey that you're most grateful for them being there as part of your business's growth. So who are those three people and how they help you?
Well, I would say having my own coach was extraordinary. And I would put that in a category, not one person, because I invest heavily in coaching. But having mentors, having people show me a roadmap, having people normalize where I'm at, and also call me on my own limiting beliefs. Like if you don't think you're the problem, you can't solve that
Yeah.
problem. So having coaches would be the thing. I would say my children have been so supportive. And, as the mom who used to do everything, now, my college age daughter, when she's home, I feel like I have a butler. She tidies up my bedroom. They run to the store. They get me food. I was always the one that provided all the domestic support. So it's been really nice to have a safety net.
Mm.
Just when my own kids are around, they're like, Mom, have you eaten? So I cannot, and I have 4 kids, so that's going to be one person is my
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
And then I would say the women in my program, I only hire from within. And so the clients that I have a waiting list of women that want to work in this program because it's so magical and powerful. And so watching my beliefs and strategies come to life in their life and ripple into their families and their kids.
Yeah,
I have 2 kids of my own that work for me, and some of my team members, their kids are coming and working, interning or whatever it is. And
sure.
so just that sense of community it's made all of the pain worth it.
Yeah, that is so cool. I love your creative counting. So three people
Thank
are
you.
groups of
Yes.
three.
Thank you.
It's
I
fun.
follow my own rules, Tim.
It's always a fun question because every guest has a unique way of combining people into those three groups. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
The path to business success has a lot to do with continuous learning, and you mentioned that earlier. So what's been your biggest learning overall as a business owner?
Um, you know, I have been in what you call high ticket coaching programs,
Mhm.
and those have been powerful. And just listening to podcasts
Mm.
like this, I get up every single morning and I've got the podcasts that I listen to, and leadership, sales team, funnels. I get something every single day, and it's free content. And yet, because I'm feeding my brain, I eat my breakfast, I listen to my breakfast. And that has been very powerful. I also read. I probably read 3, 4 books a week. It might be a business, it might be neuroplasticity or some sort of modality in my subject that's helpful. But I read a lot and I consume a lot. And I feel like it all just kind of comes in and it goes into my own little
Yes,
percolating,
yes.
marinating stuff, and then it comes back out. And so I just love how ideas are contagious and everybody gets to put their own spin and create with their ideas. You can't just consume. And I think I consume a lot, but I also create a lot.
Mm.
And I think there's a balance there. For a long time, I just consumed, and then you kind of know what you should do, but
Yeah.
you don't really
Yes.
know how to do it. And so I think there's a balance with creation and consumption.
I love the learning aspect or the books and the podcast that you were referring to. One of our the things our founder says is you must learn to earn. Um,
Yes.
and then the explanation of that is the business can only grow to our level of knowledge, and then the how we implement or how we action that level of knowledge to your point about creativity. But yeah, if we don't continue to grow and expand our knowledge base, then our business will stay where it's at because there's nothing taking it to the next level.
Well, even with all the AI stuff, a year ago, I was like, I'm not letting AI write my podcast notes. And now we're building systems that integrate our sales funnel with our, back end CRM, and we're building like coaching tools, and we're like, it's amazing. And so, yeah, you can't ever stop learning, not in today's world at all. Like it's the landscape is changing and what is possible, like the tools that I'm learning now with AI, we are going to be able to scale, and I'm not going to have to hire a lot of people
Right.
because we can create systems that are amazing. So it's really nice to feel like, I don't have to overextend myself with payroll until I'm ready
Yes.
because there's so much you can do with the tools that are now available. But it's a lot. It's mind blowing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just when you think you got it figured out, it's all changing.
And the benefit of systems is that you create it once and then right you it either runs independently or you then train your staff to manage or run the system, but it makes sure that everything is being done consistent, right? And so all the stuff that you've learned and developed and created, right, it's now easy to have other people do it because you've systematized it, and now we're holding people accountable to running the system versus everybody doing it their own way.
Yeah, I had a coach once that said, "You don't manage people, you have people manage the metrics." And that has been, a growth edge for me. It's not feelings. I feel like you're doing a good job. It's
Yes,
how many
yes,
calls do we have? How many responses? What's the
absolutely.
conversion rate? And then they have to manage their performance.
Yes.
And that's really nice. I don't manage people, I manage numbers.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, it's so true. And you mentioned and have them track it themselves because now they own the numbers and right and now we can manage to results, right? And I loved what you just said about it's you're not managing feelings, you're managing people to results and holding them accountable and numbers don't lie. So it's a much easier way to determine if somebody is performing or not.
Yeah, it is what it is. So much of what I do with the personal growth, it's all about the input, and then you iterate based on the data of your results. But with business, you got to manage the output.
Yeah.
And so learning how to think in different contexts
Yeah.
has been fun and challenging.
Yes, indeed. There's a phrase that I love. It's what gets managed gets done, right? So if we're managing to results, then results gets done. If we're managing to feelings, then feelings gets done, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
you've mentioned mindset a couple of times. We know that success has a great deal to do with our mindset and what we think, feel, and believe. So what guidance would you have for business owners who are feeling frustrated or discouraged in their business?
Well, what I would say is if you're feeling frustrated or discouraged in your business, then you are not feeling excited and open to possibilities. And so
Mhm.
as soon as you can take full responsibility, your feelings are information. Your body is telling you that the way you're looking at this situation, the questions you're asking, the assumptions you are making, the things you think you need or want, like there's a different way to look at it.
Mhm.
And I would never have believed somebody, my old coach used to say, business success is a direct correlation or directly dependent on your personal growth. It is all mindset. And I'm like, he's right.
Yeah.
Like, if you're feeling frustrated, then the solution is to get support. The solution is to get a coach. The solution is to change the inputs of what you're consuming and what you're thinking and the fixed parameters that you are operating under. When you've had negative emotions, that means you are dealing with limitations,
Mhm.
and the only person that can hold you back is you.
Yeah.
And so it really, so the advice I would give is to fully own the fact that you're frustrated and stop blaming low sales, bad marketing, your team. It's on you, because if you own it, you can fix it. You take your power back by assuming responsibility. And to me, like, that's probably the difference between success and not. I'm sure there are people who get successful and are not personal growth people. I don't know how they do it.
Well, it's what you were saying earlier, right? It eventually leads to that burnout of, right? They're working the 24/7 and right and just wearing themselves out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Colleen, as you think about the next year, what's your biggest priority that you still need to sort out?
We are still working on automating like our sales funnel and our nurture sequence. And I have gotten to where I'm at by a very simple funnel. Book a call, we have a discovery call, we have a high ticket sale. To
Hmm.
go to 10 million, we're going to need that low ticket offer, $48 trial thing. We've got a mid ticket that we're working on. And the challenge that I am excited to come back and tell you how I solved it is how to introduce these bottom of funnel, middle of funnel, top of funnel different products that nurture people
Hmm.
without stepping on our own air hose and costing us sales on
Yeah.
our high ticket program.
Yes.
So that's what we're working on now. We're introducing things, but it's kind of hidden. So we don't advertise that we have a low ticket $48. We don't advertise our independent study.
Right.
It's not time yet. We'll get there.
Yeah.
That's more of a downsell. But
Mm.
at some point, I want to be fully transparent. Here's our suite of products.
Yeah.
Let's bring you in. But we also can't cannibalize,
Yes.
you got to stay alive in the
Yeah.
process. And
Absolutely.
so,
Yeah.
and I'm very much a believer. I no longer believe you just make products and go sell them. Everything starts as a beta program. So we run these low ticket and these mid ticket, and then we see how they work, how they function. You get the testimonials, you change what they need so that they're more systematized and it's not a person delivering it. And so that's what I'm excited to see this next year is how we can have a whole suite of products that doesn't cost us on our bottom line. That actually makes us more money
Yeah.
as opposed to, underselling
Yeah.
ourselves.
And why is having a full suite of products important?
It's important because the program I offer is high ticket. It's a $10,000 program. It's a year long.
Yeah.
And so you get 100 people in, one of those people is like, yes, please. But
Yeah.
there's 99 people that came in and needed and wanted something, and they either
Yeah.
weren't ready to
Yes.
buy,
Yes.
they
Yes.
can't afford it. So I want to be able to serve more people at
Mhm.
every level. And that's why,
Yeah.
because I don't want to just do one out of one over 100 people. I have an amazing approach that is very effective, and not everybody needs a 1 year fully
Mhm.
immersive high touch coaching program.
Yeah.
So how can I help those people too?
Yeah. Love it. I love the idea of different tiers on the ladder and different offerings for different people, and then to your point, figuring out how does that all work together in a cohesive uh, way that 1 + 1 = 3.
Right. Yeah. And the fact that my business is right now it's women only. I mean, we're only dealing with half the market, and I have
Right.
a waiting list with men like when, and so I'm looking like how is that going to roll out?
Mhm.
How do we duplicate this for a bro brand?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question, Colleen. Jim Rohn, one of his famous quotes is, "We become the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with." So, as you think about that, what advice do you have for business owners who are feeling stuck and trying to figure it all out on their own?
Get yourself into a room with people. One of the things, the reason I am at where I'm at, and I could give you 10 different reasons, I will just pick one, is because I was willing to get on a plane and put myself into a mastermind, into a room with
Mhm.
people that I absolutely was not even qualified to grab them coffee. And I just did it. And what's nice is you can buy your way in. It's not like I have to go to a coffee shop and hope I meet
Yes.
people. I just listen to people's podcasts. I listen to what they're doing, and then I take the action and put myself out there. And right now, it's been almost a year since I've been in a high ticket program, and I can tell, like, and it's okay, but I'm looking for my
Mhm.
next. I don't
Sure.
think you can run a business without having a mastermind of some sort. So whether you create it on your own with people you already have in your network,
Yeah.
me, I was a mom. My network is golfing at the country club. That's not my network. So I had to completely start from scratch and just get into the room with people that know more than me.
Yeah. I love that you also shared that it doesn't have to be necessarily a paid program, right? So somebody who's just starting out may not have the funds, but joining a chamber, or finding a group of fellow business owners, and right, just starting with something that so that it comes back to the mindset, right? Get out of our own head, learn what other people are doing, and when the doubts or the fears come into our mind, it's like, okay, who's the person I go to talk me out of that, or help me to remind me to talk myself out of that so that I keep doing
Yeah.
what's needed in the business.
We can't do this alone. We really can't. And so, anybody that's struggling, start listening to podcasts, start getting into their feed, find the conference, find the event, go to the chamber, whatever. But you need people. Entrepreneurship is very lonely,
Hmm.
but by nature, which is why you have to intentionally put in people.
Yes.
You have to go looking for it. It's not going to come to you.
And what I found, I'd love to hear your experience on this, is there's been almost every single person I've reached out to has gifted me their time. Yeah, because I was always afraid of, well, they're more successful or they're really busy and they probably don't have time to take my call or have coffee with me. But everyone I've talked to is like, yep, because they've been there too, and it's almost like they want to pay it forward. What's been your experience with that?
I think it's been both ways.
Mhm.
I have, and so what I would want to say is just like sales, it's a numbers game.
Yeah,
If somebody doesn't have the time to give you, it's not personal. I
yeah,
know as
yeah,
I have gotten to the level I'm at, I don't have time for everybody that wants an hour. I don't.
yeah,
And that's not personal. So you
yeah.
just have to keep looking. But I think people, I know for myself, I am very willing and open to show people stuff. I love it. It's
Yes.
just there's a limit to how much time I have.
Fair enough. Yeah. That's where the groups help, like a chamber or a networking event. Like if you've already if we've already allocated to be there for an hour and somebody wants to pick our brain, right? It's like, oh well, I'm here anyway. So yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. People like to talk about themselves and how they got successful. I mean, that's the best way to make a friend. Ask somebody about themselves and
Indeed.
they feel seen and heard, and you walk away with five new tips.
Absolutely. Hey, Colleen, it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people in your journey. If they were all here today, what would you want to say to them?
I would want to say, isn't it fun? Isn't it fun to be here and to create and to be together and to share in the struggle? One of the my favorite quotes is happiness isn't having everything you want right when you want it. Happiness is on the other side of a struggle, which means you need a
Mm,
steady supply of struggle.
yes.
And you need a steady supply of people and community to go through it with as well, or it's not as fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of a term. It's called perturbation. I had to look it up the first time I heard it because it sounded kind of like some other word. But the idea of it is that everything that we want in life is on the other side of our comfort zone,
Yes.
and getting there is called perturbation. It's that stressful, overwhelming sometimes feeling of being, shaped and groomed and molded and learning and right and wanting to give up, but not giving up and having that breakthrough to the other side. And you're right. Like every growth in our business comes from pushing ourselves through those challenging moments and uncertain moments and don't know how to do this, but I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. One of my favorite things, I think I read this in a book called The Tools, but it's making friends with pain. Whenever I start feeling that frustrated, as soon as I catch it, I'm like, I love this feeling.
Yep.
I love this feeling. This feeling is growth.
Yes.
I mean, I like big paychecks and fun trophies on a Friday, but that's not growth.
Yes.
So
Yes.
like I've learned to make friends and I consciously tell myself, I love this feeling.
Yes.
I love this feeling. This feeling is me growing. This feeling
Yes.
is me being challenged.
Love that.
This is my growth edge. The growth edge is painful. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think when I finally figured out I'm never going to get there, I'm just here learning how to
Mm.
be uncomfortable every day.
Yes.
You can just make friends with it. I love that feeling. Oh, I'm so frustrated right now. I have no idea what to do. I love that feeling.
I love the mindset of how you've gotten yourself to be embracing that and realizing what's happening and going, yep, this is awesome. Because at the time it's not fun, But your perspective is great in terms of, yeah, I'm making it fun because I know it's a necessary evil, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and once you struggle long enough, you kind of pick up on a pattern. And so now when I'm with my team, and it's all this, I'm like, I pull out and I'm like, I believe we can figure this out. I believe you can figure this
Yeah.
out. I
Yes.
believe you can lead. I believe you can solve this. Like, I can't wait to see how this goes.
Yeah.
And you have to go through a lot of it before you realize, oh, this is just how it is.
Yep, indeed. Well, Colleen, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Tim.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.